Welcome back to part two of The Art of Film and What Made Sammy Run. I'm going to continue on with my train of thought from the last part one. And by the way, I misspoke when talking about The Godfather. I did mean to say Sollozzo assassinated or killed Don Vito Corleone. He didn't kill him, but he attempted to assassinate him. And that uh, springing from the unitary action of Don Corleone refusing the to lend his influence and support to the drug business. That was the unitary action of the Godfather. But I'm going to talk about more of that in a later part. But nevertheless, to get back to Prometheus, because that was the end of part one's train of thought. Um, One of the things in terms of the movie Prometheus was simply that the unitary action was wrong altogether. It did not address what was teased in the trailer for the film of Prometheus, wherein people thought they were going to the theater and that the movie Prometheus would answer, at least in part, who created the alien or how the ship of the, as we know them now, the engineers got onto LV 426. And as I understand by reading various blogs about what the original script was about, it was going to be with people, the engineers and the whole facilities that the engineers had was originally going to be on LV 426, and then you would see the down spacecraft. But then if you had it that way, it wouldn't make sense with what we know from the original Aliens, as well as the Alien film, where it was supposed to be a derelict planet. Well, then, how is it derelict when you had all of these facilities on the planet? So you can see the problem. They had to put it on another planet, but again, the unitary action did not satisfy. And this is just an aside, but how they could have not hired Christopher Plummer to play Wayland instead of loading down Guy Pearce with old man makeup, I have no idea. But this is an example of the problems that you had with the film in terms of Ridley Scott. And even though he did originally intend for the Prometheus franchise to be a franchise in and of itself, which is fine. You can have the Prometheus franchise in and of itself, but then don't tease within the trailer. You know, you would have that as a surprise in terms of the movie itself, but don't tease within the trailer the audience or the built-in audience who grew up with the original Alien and Aliens by James Cameron. Don't tease them with the resolution or the interests of, oh, well, now you're going to finally figure out or see how or where the Alien movie we know picks up, or why the alien was created, or how it was created, all of that kind of stuff. Don't tease that. The Prometheus film was what was the supposed to launch a new kind of franchise, because I remember that Ridley Scott in the beginning said that, you know, I don't even want the xenomorph organism to overshadow my main objective, and that is to explore the evolutionary process and our relation to the theory of God and all of that was going to be the main thrust, the modus operandi of this new franchise, wherein at a later point he would introduce the xenomorph organism. However, that is not what people were led to believe. And so that when, and I remember after going to see Prometheus, they had the nerve to have people out on the when people were let out of the movie, standing in the lobby with all these well, you take some kind of a survey about what people thought about the movie. Well, you know, I just think that, again, the unitary action should have been, as I said before in part one, the aliens standing, I should say the engineers or slash or what they call space jockey, the engineer slash space jockey standing in their space getup uniform with the helmet, waiting for, in the laboratory on LV 223, waiting for either the chest burster to come forth from the host or receptacle or whatever, or they could have had the egg, and then you would have seen the other engineers all take the eggs and load them into various ships, and then that ship goes in to the atmosphere and to unknown planets across the galaxy or whatever it is. I think that would have been a very poignant scene had you had the had you seen the Queen alien, and then you had the eggs, okay, and then the eggs were taken onto the spaceship, and then the spaceship would rise into the air. Then you would see all the other spaceships that all had, just like you saw in the original Alien film, the eggs, or that you assume all carried eggs, and they were all going off in different directions across the galaxy. And then the movie would pick up with the scientists discovering the cave drawing and all of that. That is where you have the break, shall we say, between what needs to be done in terms of satisfying an audience and keeping it simple. You see, what Prometheus did was complicate things. And I'm going to read more from the book now, The Art of Film, to bring home this point. And the author says, now he's making the comparisons between the novel and the play and then the film.